Yo no voy a decidir lo que van a aprender. Eso lo van a decidir ustedes.
¿Habían tenido una clase así antes?
Nunca había tenido un maestro así.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be talking about a new little film called Radical. This film premiered at Sundance earlier in the year and tells the story of a teacher in a Mexican border town full of neglect, corruption, and violence who tries a radical new method to unlock their students' curiosity, potential, and maybe even their genius.
Muy inquieto por el hecho de que he recibido varias quejas de que los niños no están preparados.
A ver,
Te pedí que no patearas el avispero. ¿Y qué hiciste tú?
The only reason why this movie was on my radar is because Eugenio Derbez is attached to this project. I grew up watching him, and he did a film back in 2013, which was his passion project, and Instructions Not Included, and that movie is just absolutely heartbreaking, and just the way that he was able to tell that story was absolutely great. And with Radical, I was just immediately intrigued just because he was attached to this project. And boy, did this movie surprise me. Mostly because I went in completely blind. I didn't know what the movie was really about. Didn't watch any of the trailers. And this movie is absolutely heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, and also very inspirational. Because even though this movie is a paint-by-numbers type of film, you know exactly the story beats that this movie is going to be taking. It takes inspiration by other stories as well. But the message of this movie is what actually got me. Because you have this teacher that is told to play it by the books, and he just does the complete opposite. He is trying to inspire his students to be the very best that they possibly can, and he doesn't really teach them all too much. They're basically self-taught, and that is where the inspiration comes to some, because everybody that goes to school probably knows that there is a status quo that some teachers have to follow in order for us to get the learning that we so desire. And while some things that we learn in school isn't something that we're going to be taking with us for the rest of our lives, there are things in school that I kind of wish we were taught a little bit more and was really more the focal point what we're supposed to be learning. And what this character does, Sergio, played by Eugenio Derbez, is really go outside of that. He really does his very best to inspire his students, to have them think for themselves in order for them to get out of the rubble. We don't follow all of the students, but we follow a couple of them. One of them is Paloma, who literally lives next to garbage. She is taking care of her dad, and her dad's not really the very best supportive parent. He thinks that everything that she wants to do is just this lavish dream that she has, that if she goes out there, then she's going to be living in a fantasy world, and then she comes back to where she lives and it's just dark and gloomy. Plus you also have Lupe, played by Mia Fernandez Solis, who is basically a parent at her young age. She's basically taking care of her brothers and sisters by waking them up, taking them to and from school, making sure that they get their bath, while her mom neglects her, and she has dreams of being a philosopher. She tries to go to the school library, however, the school librarian is not the best, and that is where a lot of the teachers really come into play, because they're not really the best. They're basically very neglectful teachers. They don't care about their students. They just want the students to pass or fail and still be able to graduate as well. And when Lupe goes to a college where she's able to check out these books about philosophy, that is where she gets her inspiration of becoming a philosopher or maybe a professor. And I thought her story was a little bit more heartbreaking. And then you also have Nico, who has a crush on Paloma, and he's more of the class clown. He feels like he is an idiot because he's not really the brightest. He says a lot of stupid shit, but he also has a brother who is part of this gang, and once you're in this gang, there is no getting out. And while I really liked this character, the route that they took him in, I was not the biggest fan of. It felt like it was a very unnecessary side plot that I was not really able to get into or really buy. But the performances by everybody in this movie is absolutely fantastic, and you feel like you know where this movie is going, and at times you know that this is going to be a paint-by-numbers type of movie, so you kind of know exactly how the story is going to go. But with some characters, I was really surprised by how much of a turn those characters actually took, because I was expecting it to go in one way, and it just went in a completely different way. And then you also have the principal, played by Daniel Haddad, who has a bit of a rivalry with Sergio at the beginning, because they're both not really on the same page, and a lot of the teachers really don't like Sergio because he's not teaching them the way that they are. He's doing it completely different. And that is something that I absolutely loved about this character, is that he's not playing it safe. He's not playing it by the book. He is trying to inspire his students for them to be better, to do the very best they possibly can, so they can unlock their potential, so they don't have to be stuck in this place, and they're able to further their education in many ways. And that is something that I absolutely love. This movie had me in tears by the end of it, because there are a lot of thematic elements in this movie that are so heavy, especially for kids at this age, and what they're trying to do, what they're going for. It shows the darker side of their circumstances. That is absolutely powerful. This is a movie that you need to put on your radar, because this is absolutely fantastic. It will make you laugh, it will make you cry, it will inspire you, and I hope that this is a movie that teachers take note of and are able to show their students, because it is just an absolutely fantastic movie. But I really do hope that Eugenio Derbez is in the conversation for an Oscar, because he was absolutely fantastic. The emotional places that he had to go to were absolutely heart-wrenching for this character, especially when it comes down to the relationship between him and his students. But those are my thoughts on Radical. Have you guys heard of this movie? Are you guys planning on checking this film out? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys on the next review.